Kawhi Leonard took an elbow from Serge Ibaka that sent shockwaves through his face, ultimately leaving him with 8 stitches. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Sutterer, and this is your #1 source for learning about the unique medical side of the world of sports. Now, this looked pretty nasty in the moment, and so in this video, we're gonna break down this elbow that Kawhi Leonard got, talking about some of the anatomy of the face, possible jaw fractures, and then some key points with suturing a laceration like this. Plus, we'll talk about why Leonard's face contorted all funny like this. As always, if you enjoy learning about this unique side of sports, please consider subscribing to my channel, and let's get started. So here at the end of the game, Kawhi Leonard caught this accidental elbow from Serge Ibaka as Ibaka was basically going up to try to get the ball. He essentially had this incidental glance where Ibaka's elbow struck that left side of his face, sending this massive shockwave through Leonard's face that caused his face to give this sort of an expression. In real time here, we saw Leonard just absolutely crumple down to the ground after taking that hit. So people saw this slow-mo replay, they saw blood on the floor, and they were starting to think about, gosh, he must have broken his jaw. Thankfully, that doesn't seem to be the case. If we look at our skull anatomy here, there's a number of different bones that make up our face and then also the jaw. This first bump that you can feel kind of on the side, the upper side of your cheek is right here, and that's from a bone called your zygomatic bone. That runs up to the top to your frontal bone, in the back to your temporal bone, and then in the front here to your maxilla. The actual jawbone itself is gonna be the mandible, which runs down here, up starting at the TMJ, or the temporomandibular joint up by your ear, and then running down across the face all the way up to the other side. But if you look back at how Leonard actually got hit, I don't think there would be reason to suspect a jaw fracture just from the initial video. The first is that this really wasn't a direct shot going right into Leonard's face. This was really more of a glancing blow. Ibaka's elbow is coming straight up, and more so is applying a shear force to Leonard's face as opposed to a direct compression force like you would see with a boxer or a mixed martial artist. The biggest thing Leonard's gonna be worried about from this is #1, a possible concussion, but #2, the technical ability to suture up a cut like this, especially if it's around his lip. We can see when Leonard's on the ground here with the medical team, it really looks like the blunt of this impact was around that left side kind of corner of his mouth or to the lips. When we see him walking off here again, he's got that dressing over that corner of his mouth. So tells me that they have to be possibly worried about suturing an injury to the lips. Now, putting sutures in a cut around the lip is actually much harder and much more important than you think. That's all because of the specific anatomy of the lip with something called the vermilion border. When we look here at Kawhi Leonard's own face, the line where you see the transition of color from the lip to the rest of the skin, that little line is what we call the vermilion border. And it doesn't take much for that line to be off a little bit for the whole just cosmetic appearance of the face to be completely thrown off. So the first thing the doctors are gonna do when they repair a laceration involving that vermilion border is try to line it up as perfectly as possible. If they repair it in one line, it's slightly off from the other, it's gonna be extremely easy to see where that is, and it just doesn't give a good outcome. Finally, let's talk about why Leonard's face looked like this, just super contorted. This is because of the energy that's being transferred through the skin, through the face from Ibaka's elbow. The first thing is Ibaka's elbow is traveling up. Remember, it's glancing, so it's gonna grab the skin on the side of Leonard's face and it's gonna start to pull it up. This area where Ibaka's contacting him on the elbow is his olecranon process. It's one of the hardest spots in our whole body. It's just pure bone that's making contact and hitting Leonard's face and then pulling that skin upward. Because it's so much energy that Ibaka has imparting through this small contact point of his elbow, that's gonna send this big shockwave where that energy has to be absorbed throughout the face. That's why when you see somebody get punched, it sends these ripples and shockwaves throughout their entire face. The other thing too here with this is because it caught Leonard off guard, he's got his mouth open. He's not bracing for this level of a hit, and so that's gonna cause his jaw to shift. It's gonna cause his face to just be able to move more, giving you more of this appearance of these kind of ripples and energy going throughout his face. Again though, because it wasn't a direct blow, it was more of a glancing shear blow, I wouldn't be as worried about a fracture to his jaw. It wouldn't surprise me if they still did a CT scan just because they can be hard to miss on X-ray, and these are professional athletes. But just from looking at it, I'd be pretty surprised if he in fact did fracture his jaw. Also, hopefully the Clippers make sure and evaluate for a concussion. Anytime a guy gets a blow to the head like this, you've got to check out for those brain injuries. That's it for the video though, everybody. Thank you as always for watching. Let me know any questions or comments down below. And until next time, we'll see you later.